I would like to answer a question from the forum today, and this user is describing that there is an indoor scene with relatively large windows, and as soon as IBL or the sky is turned on, the indoor lights disappear from the rendering no matter what the light intensity is. So let me explain what's happening there. And to start with, here I have prepared a simple Rhino scene and I've set it up for indoor lighting. And when you start a new Rhino scene, it's has the default environment image-based lighting enabled, and that is a brightness that compares to the brightness that you have in an office room or in an office space indoor. If you open the settings window, you see the exposure value lets you change, the exposure like a real camera, so you can make the image brighter or darker. So, but if you're taking a picture in a setting like this, those are the appropriate values, and you see there's a number of lights that if I turn them off, you see that the illumination of our scene changes considerably. So let me turn the lights on again and now switch to daylight. So this can be simply done by going to the environment tab. Okay, let me just add all these. And I say I would like to render this with the sun and sky. And now you see there's not been much of a change. However, we see the illumination basically from the sun. And if you take a look at the exposure value of our scene, you see it has been set to -15, which compensates for extremely bright daylight. So the sun is so bright, and we are basically, this is an open scene. If I rotate this, so the sun is shining directly on my surfaces here. And this is so bright that even though my lights are shining there, if I have turned them on or off, their impact is neglectable. So, and that's what we do when users change the environment, that we automatically compensate for the brightness. Because if we had left it at the value of -7, that would be the picture that you got. So it would be way too overexposed. So as soon as you change your environment type, we change these exposure values. If you set it to none, we set the exposure value to 0, which again would be way too bright if we set up our lighting to be inside an office space. So a good value is -7, and you see that this works perfectly. So when you're creating lights, make sure that you always have a starting point of a real world, exposure value. I can recommend taking a look at the Wikipedia page. So if you look in Wikipedia under exposure value, you have here the tabulated exposure values, and those show you the brightnesses that you get in certain lighting situations. So these values are plus, so in Rhino you have to set them to negative values to compensate for this brightness to get a good picture under these circumstances. And you see, like, offices and work areas are 7 to 8, so that's what we have set for our exposure value here, and this is the value that you should set. And of course, when a different light source like the sun becomes overly bright, these changes make existing light sources not visible anymore, because it's like, if you turn on a light bulb during daylight outside, you won't see the light that's being emitted from the light bulb because the sun is so intensive. And this is what happens if you change the environment. The other light sources that are here in the scene, they still emit their light, but since the other light is so much more intensive, we stop seeing the impact of these light sources. If you want to learn more about our software, visit us at nvidia.com/Iray.